Hello students, good evening. This is just here I'm taking small notes on phonology, and then through text we are going to understand phonology with small answers. So I'm going to explain the definition and other small information. So let us start. Phonology is the study of how speech sound are organized in a language. Important how speech sounds are how speech sounds are organized in a language and how they are used to convey meaning. So how speech sounds are organized and convey meaning, this the study of phonology. It includes the study of sound patterns. So what it includes? The study of sound patterns and structures such as syllables, intonation, right? So phonology includes the study of sound patterns and structures, means what the pattern we follow and what the structure, such as syllables and intonations. So that's what a syllable we use, and what is intonation means for tone, falling, rising tone. So what kind of tone we use when we speak a sentence, right? Now some aspects of phonology includes, so what aspects are important? Three aspects are important, that is sound sequences, then phonemes, and then phonotactics, right? So these are the elements or different aspects we have to remember. Right now, wait a minute. Okay, now sound sequences. So words in a language can be divided into sound sequences. What is sound sequence? Words in a language can be divided into sound sequences. Sound sequences means what word? For example, Ram eats a mango. So that is different. Ram, then eats, then mango. So this is sound sequence, right? So words in a language can be divided into sound sequences. Now phonemes, the smallest sound unit that can create a new word with a different meaning. For example, English words cat and bat differ in single phoneme K and B. So what the difference? Just K and B, and then different sound K and B change the meaning of the sentence, right? Now phonotactics, the laws of combination of sounds within a language, that is called phonotactics. So we will study further, try to understand. Now phonology is different from phonetics, which is the study of production and perception of speech sound. So phonetics is the study of production, how sound is produced and how sound is perceived, that is the matter of phonetics. And phonology is that is the how speech sounds are organized in a language. So organization of a speech sound and how they are used to convey meaning, which is the part of phonology. Okay, now according to definition, the system of contrastive relationships among the speech sounds that constitute the fundamental components of a language. The branch of linguistics that deals with system of sounds including or excluding phonetics within a language or between different languages. Okay, now phonology is the study of patterns of sound. So different patterns of sound in a language and across languages. Put more formally, phonology is the study of categorical organization of speech sounds in languages, how speech sounds are organized in the mind and used to convey meaning. That's the phonology. Okay, now example, so that use the noun phonology to describe the study of the way sounds are used in a language and rules for pronouncing certain words, like the silent T in French word Shet. So that here T is silent. You are most likely to hear the word phonology in a college linguistics class, learning about the meanings of specific sounds in various languages. Right? So, what is we learn about the meanings of a speech specific sounds in various languages, right? So, with various languages and various sounds, right? Now, what is phonology and types? It helps speakers understand and produce words as without knowing the right articulation of word. So that phonetics focuses on articulation and phonology. In phonology, no, what we can say that articulation, focus on articulation is not required in phonology, so that it helps speakers understand and produce words as without knowing the right articulation. If we don't know right articulation, but then how to make correct sound, that is phonology. It is impossible to pronounce it. What are the types of phonological rules? Phonological rules can be divided into four types. This is very important: assimilation, dissimilation, insertion, and deletion. So, what is assimilation, deletion, insertion, and deletion? We are going to see here, right? Okay, so that is uh, okay. Yes, insertion is given. So, what is first of all, these are the words, please understand. Sorry, out of track, I'm just giving you first phonotactics. So, phonotactics is what? Phonotactics is the study of rules governing the possible phoneme sequences in language. That's the Oxford dictionary, Oxford dictionary meaning. Now, within phonotactics, we can look at syllables. For example, a syllable is a phonological unit that involves one or more phonemes. Syllables can show how phonemes appear in a particular sequences. A nucleus, right? Syllable, a nucleus, always a vowel. So that is vowel is always called a nucleus. An outset and a coda, usually consonants. Sorry, an onset and coda is consonant. We will understand. Wait a minute. That is what is that in the word cat. So K is the onset, right? Because that's a consonant, and A is the nucleus and T is the coda. So these are the new terms. What is coda, onset, and nucleus? So in the case of cat, K is onset, T is coda, right? And A is A is nucleus, right? So now there are rules concerning phoneme sequences in syllable. The nucleus of a syllable is essential for the word and is the vowel in the middle of the syllable. So that is nucleus. It is in the middle, and that is essential for the word. Okay. The onset is not always present, but you can find it before the nucleus if it is. Now the coda is also not always present, but you can find it after the nucleus if it is, right? Now phonology in the English language, so that is phonology we are going to discuss. Phonological rules, for example, rules are related to spoken or written principles which control the changes of the sound duration during speech. These describe The process of articulation, how a speaker produces speech sound, is stored in the brain. Phonological rules help us understand which sounds change, what they change to, and where the change up happens. So phonology tells us what are the changes are there. Example, phonological rules can be divided into four types: assimilation, dissimilation, insertion and deletion. So we are going to discuss that is very important for phonology. Assimilation. Assimilation is the process of changing one feature of a sound to make it similar to another, right? How? Example, through example, changing one feature of a sound to make it similar to another. How? What is assimilation? For example, plural, changing one feature of a sound to make it similar to another. How? Means plural system. For example, s, the s can change from voiced to voiceless, right, depending on whether the preceding consonant is voiced or unvoiced. For example, so the English plural s can be pronounced in different ways depending on the word it is part of. For example, in the word snakes, and then when it becomes plural, snake and snakes, so pronunciation s. In the case of snakes, that's the pronunciation, in this snakes pronunciation is s. But in the word baths, so that when bath, and that's a bath, and then baths, that's a plural, but here s is pronounced as z, and in this case s is pronounced as s only. Snakes and baths, z का sound आ जाता है. In the word dresses, so that sound is different, that is dresses, is not dresses, so that sound is sound, right? So that is called assimilation. Assimilation means when we add one word, that's a process of changing one feature. One feature, what's the changing? Just s, putting s, that's a one feature of a sound to make similar to another. So to make similar to another, right? So in this that is sound changes, that is the example of assimilation. Now dissimilation. Dissimilation is the process of changing one feature of a sound to make it different. This is changing a feature of a sound to make it similar to another. So that is almost similar, and that is sound to make it different. How? For example, this type of rule makes two sounds more distinguishable. It can help non-native speakers to pronounce words. For example, the pronunciation of word chimney, right? So chimney and chimley, so that is chimley. So what's a chimney? That's a chimney and chimley with change of n and l. Chimney n, right, and chimley, that is with the change of n and l. So that is dissimilation, right? Changing one feature n, that's a n and l, right? One feature of a sound to make it different. Okay, now, so that is called dissimilation. Now insertion. Insertion is the process adding, as name suggests, adding an extra sound between two others. For example, we usually insert voiceless stop between a nasal or voiceless fricative to make, that is depth study, leave it, you just we can understand through this example. In the word strength, So that is the strength. We add the sound K and it becomes strength. How? See, strength, that is strength, NNTH, strength, and we add K and it becomes strength, right? So here that is in the word hamster, hamster, right, and we add the sound P, so that is hamster. So that's hamster, and P if we insert, so that becomes hamster. Another example we are going to see. Now deletion. So that is, deletion is the process of not pronouncing a sound, consonant, vowel or whole syllable presenting in a word or phrase to make it easier to say. For example, you and me. This is the phrase you and me. So here you and me is, it is possible not to say the sound d, right? So you and me, right? So that's a you and me, right? So and me, not and me. You and me, but here you and me. So that is written here. You, I'm repeating. You and me. So you and me, that is not D ka pronunciation is important. So that is the example of deletion, because we have delete D in and, N, right? This also occurs in some words. Him. So him. H is deleted. Right? Him. Right? And then fifth. So fifth. F is deleted. Right? So that is called deletion. Now, what did we learn? That is, phonology is the study of sound system of language. It refers to the phonemes used in a language and how these are organized. We have seen examples. A phoneme is the smallest meaningful unit of sound. Now, dialects are variations of language associated with a geographic area. Marwadi and Rajasthani, number of dialects are there. That is, and social class. So these are the dialects associated with, that is, geography area and social class. Now, accent features regional phonological or phonetic differences. So that accent, for example, if I give you example that Indorian tone is different, Ujjain tone is different. So that is accent, right? Accents features regional phonological or phonetic differences. So that is why mother tongue, that affects, and dialects are variations of language associated with a geographical area and social class. So different social class and area, so different languages are there. Now phonotactics, we studies the contrasting rules of phoneme combination. Phonotactics, each language has a phonological system, set of phonemes. So each language has set of phonemes which can be shown in phonemic chart. So here we will see. Now phonological rules: assimilation, dissimilation, insertion, deletion help us understand which sounds change, what they change to, and where the change happens. So these are the different notes. Very important, very important. So we are going to discuss it in the class, right? So that is I am sharing, and we will discuss in the class. Okay, wait a minute. Now going back, that is next question related to another. So this was the definition we discussed, and these are the takeaway. Okay, now What is the best definition of phonology? Let us discuss again. The science of speech sounds. That's a science actually, and study of speech sounds, including especially the history and theory of sound changes in language or in two or more related languages. The phonetics and phonemics of language at a particular time. So that's the science of speech sounds, including specially the history and theory of sound changes, right? So that is there. Who is the father? Leave it. The importance of phonology. What's the importance? Why we study phonology? Because phonological processing is necessary for both comprehension and production of speech, right? And language. So we have to understand the language, and production we have to produce the speech and language. It is also critically involved in processing written word forms for reading and spelling. Thus, individuals with phonological processing disorders may present with impaired spoken as well as written language skills, right? Now, functions of phonology. Phonology is the study of patterns of sound. So that is not a study of sound, that's a patterns of sounds, right, in a language and across language, right? Put more formally, phonology is the study of categorical organization. Categorical means noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, something. But that is categorical organization of speech sounds in so that study, like when noun will be pronounced, how noun is pronounced, then verb, then object, this way how speech sounds are organized in the mind and used to convey meaning. This is phonology. Okay, now characteristics of phonology is the mapping between three systems of representation: action, perception, and long term memory. So that is characteristics of phonology. And the fundamental components of speech sound: distinctive feature, number 2, laws of combination of speech sound, both adjacent and long distance, and chunking of speech sounds. That is okay. Two main branches of phonology is segmental phonology, is concerned with smallest segment in phonology, phonemes like P and D, and suprasegmental phonology is concerned with units about the segment like syllable, stress, intonation are the example of suprasegmental. Basic concepts of phonology is that phonology identifies and demonstrates the sounds that form a language. So that this is phonology identifies, demonstrates and demonstrates the sounds that form a language. So that what it identifies and demonstrates the sounds that form a language. So what sound which form a language? It analyzes how the sounds develop and combine to make words, and explains why it is important to recognize certain phonetic features to identify the word, right? Elements of phonology are sameness, differences, then segmentation, abstractness, then monosystematicity, derivation, specification, and panalectal grammars, right? That is panalectal grammars. Difference between phonology: phonetics is the study of production and perception of speech sound, and phonology concerns the study of more complex and abstract sound pattern. So your focus should be on sound pattern and structure. So phonetics studies sound pattern and structure, right? The main aim of phonology also tells us which sound combination are acceptable to form words in a language, and how different languages use different meaningful sounds. In general, phonology helps us to understand how speech sounds can be used to express meaning within one specific language or across multiple languages. Now two types of phonology, so that is phonemes and allophones. That's a two types of phonology. The phonological system has two levels, phonemes and allophones. Phonemes are abstract for psychological concepts, phonemes, whereas allophones are more concrete. Any sound that is pronounced in and allophones and phonemes are never pronounced. So please take care. Allophones are more concrete and any sound that is pronounced is an allophone, right? And phonemes are never pronounced, right? Okay, what are the features important in phonology? So that is that distinctive features are fundamental in phonology, serving a number of functions. They capture, contrast and distinguish phonemes, define natural classes and capture phonological patterns and describe the phonetic realization of these patterns, right? Okay, now different rules of phonology. So that just now we have seen that the perhaps the most common general type of phonological rule we find in assimilation, when a phoneme changes to an allophone that matches some aspect of its environment, that is one or more properties in the rules changes as also present somewhere. I am just giving example of assimilation, that is what we can say that cat met z, right? So these are the different words and different sounds. So that is when phonemes changes and allophones that matches some aspects of its environment, right? So that is that property rules change also present somewhere rule environment, right? Okay, what's the role of phonology in translation? So translating, that's a translating a word from the sources language into closed sound in the target language. So that's the source language, target language I'll be explaining later on. But phonological transcription means translating a word from source language into target language, means translation अनुवाद करना जो है, that's a main aim, main role of phonology. And meanwhile transferred word translation means transferring a word in sources language into target language, right? Now phonology is very important because phonological awareness is essential for reading, because written words correspond to spoken words. Readers must have awareness of speech sounds that letters and letter combination represent in order to move from a printed word to spoken word. So what is written will be read, right? So that's a reading or spoken word to a written word spelling, right? That is there. Then what are the phonology features example? So that's the for example, we learned phoneme P was a biblical voiceless stop because it is labial consonant. We can use the notation labial, whereas consonant like T would be B or labial because it is voiceless. So that's a depth, okay? And then finally, what's the example? So examples of phonology is looking at how the different letters of alphabet form sounds by themselves or in combination with other letters, right? Now example is that the study of different sounds and the way they come together to form speech and words, that is somewhat two level of phonology. So that is two level model comprises component, a rules component which contains phonological rules represented at finite state devices, and lexical component lexicon, right? So that is something, then the number of question definitely being open one by one, but we don't have the what crux we have understood, and that is why that is enough for you. So all the best.